The gray rock method is not a safety strategy after separation. The gray rock method is often promoted as a universal solution for dealing with narcissistic or abusive individuals. The premise is simple: become emotionally unresponsive, provide no reaction, and starve the abuser of attention, and they will eventually lose interest. While this approach may reduce day-to-day conflict in certain limited situations, it's not a safety strategy, and it can be dangerously misleading once separation occurs. From a legal and clinical perspective, Gray Rock is a behavioral management technique, not a risk reduction plan. It assumes that the abuser's behavior is driven primarily by a desire for emotional supply. That assumption breaks down completely when the individual is mentally unstable, entitlement driven, or motivated by control, retaliation, or obsession rather than validation. Separation is not the end of the abuse. It is often the most dangerous phase. When a victim breaks away from a narcissistic or coercively controlling abuse, the abuser experiences a loss for dominance. For many, this loss triggers escalation rather than disengagement, and the abuse does not stop. It mutates. This is known as post-separation abuse. Post-separation abuse frequently includes stalking, harassment, smear campaigns, doxing, false allegation, litigation abuse, and the weaponization of family courts and law enforcement. The goal is no longer reconciliation or emotional engagement. The goal is punishment, forced proximity, reputation destruction, or regaining control by any means available. In these cases, silence does not calm the situation, it inflames it. Gray Rock fails with high-risk abusers because the absence of response is interpreted as not as disengagement, but as defiance. When the abuser believes they are entitled to access, explanation, or obedience, withdrawal can provoke retaliation, and the lack of reaction removes the formal social restraints and pushes the abuser towards more extreme tactics designed to provoke fear, force interaction, and reassert dominance. This is why many victims report that the abuse intensified after they left. The moment they became unreachable, emotionally or physically, the behavior escalated into surveillance, threats, online harassment, and court filings. This is also why relying on Gray Rock alone after separation can be dangerous. Protective orders and documentation are not optional, they are foundational. Early protective orders matter because they create an objective legal record before the abuser controls the narrative. They establish enforceable boundaries with consequences. They transform a private pattern of abuse into documented conduct subject to judicial oversight. Reporting every violation matters because courts don't act on single incidents in isolation. They act on patterns. Each violation builds the evidentiary architecture necessary to show coercive control, stalking, and intent. Silence creates gaps. Documentation creates continuality. Relocation can reduce physical access, but it doesn't neutralize a determined abuser. Digital stalking, third-party harassment, cross-state litigation are common in post-separation abuse cases. Distance alone is not protection when the abuse is systematic and adaptive. In the most severe cases, outcomes tend to polarize. Either the behavior is interrupted through arrest, incarceration, or sustained court intervention, or the victim remains exposed to escalating risks. This is not hyperbole, it's reflected in domestic violence homicide data, stalking fatalities, and coercive control cases where warning signs were present but minimalized. Gray Rock has a narrow application. It may help reduce daily volatility while the victim is still trapped in proximity. It is not a safety plan once separation occurs. After separation, silence without legal protection and documentation is not neutrality, it's vulnerability. Survivors are not failing because Gray Rock didn't work. The strategy was never designed to address post-separation abuse, power-driven violence, or individuals who escalate when control is threatened. Safety after separation requires visibility, documentation, legal boundaries, and accountability. If you want to learn more, pick up my book, Voiceless No More, The Legal War on Narcissistic Abuse, available now on Amazon.